Hello everyone. So what I'm going to show you today is just a little bit of behind the scenes work on how some green screen studio work would be handled in post-production. So we've got our subject here, this person, they're standing in a studio space. The footage we have here, right? It's not really been filmed great. This can sometimes be due to, not enough budget. Maybe you can't get the right studio, maybe you can't get the right equipment. But just to run over some of the quick challenges that we will face in this bit of footage, right? The background, you'll see it's got quite an uneven tone. It's green, but it also has a lot of blue in it, right? So this kind of mixture of the colors that just does not really bode well. Usually you want something that's almost like neon or highlighter green. That's really easy for the program to pick up and to just cut out. Two different main techniques that you can use to remove the green screen is usually what's called a key light effect. I'm using Adobe After Effects here. So you add a key light effect, right? That is something, it's a bit akin to a kind of a drag and drop, right? So this here, I've just activated the key light effect. I have done quite some tuning, right, to get it to the point where it is right now. I'll quickly reset it and just show you how it can look, right? So I've just reset it. The effect is still active. Now I've got my color dropper here and I'm going to choose color of the background. Yep. So that's generally the first step of the key light process, right? Gives you this. That's not great, but the machine is doing its job. So yeah, that's how that looks. I'm just gonna undo and go back to what we had. So yeah, as you see, I did tune the key light effect quite considerably, but there are still some uneven tones. There are still some spots that are standing out. So this is a useful effect. It just doesn't always work first time like you would want it to. So the second effect that you will generally use is called a roto brush. So roto brushing, it's a cool tool and you can use it to select a subject, and the machine does its best to kind of track the subject and just create an outline. I'll show you now. I'll activate it. There we go. So I did the roto brushing already here. You'll see that it's created this border, right? This pink border. So that's where it's effectively cutting out the subject. The tool is quite nice. It does a lot of the work. But with a challenging green screen project like this one, you probably will have to do a lot of manual work as well. It isn't always perfect. Sometimes you have to go frame by frame and make sure the roto brush has done its job perfectly. So I'll move on now to a little bit of an issue that we face sometimes when it comes to what I'll call challenging green screen footage. Let me give you an example. Okay, so here I've got a good example. So unfortunately, this kind of thing can happen. Generally, this is the way that the camera is set up. when you have low light, you will usually change the shutter speed, so that just affects how much times the camera opens up per second and how much light comes in. So if it stays open a longer time, then it will work better in low light, but the footage itself becomes more blurry. So with green screen, you want a very fast shutter speed. You want to have each frame crisp, but you need to have a lot of light in that scenario. And as you'll see, this unfortunately is not what we have. We don't have something crisp. It's very, very blurry. And let me activate the rotor brush view. Okay, so now you can see how it's just trying its absolute best to deal with this. And unfortunately, it does not look that great ultimately. So this blurry footage, it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, it really depends on, as I said, the budget, the tools you have, and also what you're ultimately shooting the video for. This video, it's not that much of a problem. It's a single frame. It does take a lot of time and also processing power for the computer to actually deal with this kind of thing. And unfortunately, will mean that you need to check every frame by frame to make sure that you get some decent green screen footage. As you'll see, this was quite a challenge. At least in the context, it was okay. I'll show you how we moved on from this and what we got in the end. So what I'm showing you now is basically a little edit that I've done where I am transitioning from the green screen footage itself to the footage as it was in the final version.
Thank you everyone. It's an absolute delight and honor to be a part of this extraordinary, wonderful, eco-inspiring event again. As some of you might know, I hosted the awards last year, and yes, I see some familiar faces.
So there we have it, a final example of what was used. It was, the footage was shown in an auditorium during an event, so we could get away with the filming quality we had. Ideally, you would have better planning. For example, I had to get some footage that kind of matches the direction of the light. If you look at the shadows, for example here, subject was lit from left to right, the shadows are moving from left to right. The lighting, the color grading on the subject was also changed a bit to try and match it to the background. In the end, it depends on context. It served its purpose. And yeah, as you'll see, there was quite a journey and some challenges were overcome. Just a quick example of green screen and how we can overcome certain challenges. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.